Welcome back in. We're continuing conversations about estate planning and if you have measurable assets, why there are reasons a revocable trust is more favorable than a will. But what is it? What is a revocable trust? Marshall Clay with the Welsh Group joined us to explain more about this. I wasn't here last week, so I know you obviously already shed a little bit of light on a revocable trust, but give us folks some terms so that we can lay out the explanation of why it could be beneficial.
Yeah, so when we're talking about revocable trust, I want our viewers to think flexibility, right?
Okay.
And so as the grantor, which is the person that actually creates the trust, they create the trust and they grant certain powers to a trustee to sort of manage those assets.
Okay.
And then of course beneficiaries are the ones who are the recipients of the trust. And so when the grantor grants the power to the trustee, it can either be an individual or it can be an entity that serves as the trustee. So that's an important thing for our viewers to understand. But the great thing about the revocable trust is that the grantor maintains control over these assets while they're still alive. So the grantor typically names himself as the trustee first of all, but and the name sort of suggests this, that you can change the trust or you can revoke the trust while you're still alive. Now if you pass away, that trust becomes irrevocable, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail next week. And this trust can be set up in a will or it can be set up in a separate legal document. So those are kind of the big overview.
And I'm sure you would recommend, you normally got to do this through an attorney.
Yes. I mean, you definitely should do this through an attorney to make sure all the terms and all the titling is done correctly. But again, in terms of like why you would create this, I think the big one is the control, the flexibility. So we see a lot of this when people have businesses or they have properties in various states.
Retirement accounts?
Yeah, retirement accounts. They want to have everything sort of set up, but then they want to have the ability to adjust these things if this trust is ultimately not needed. And so you can still set the rules for distribution, so it's just like a will in that regard where you're kind of deciding where these assets go. But the big advantage of the revocable trust is that it helps you avoid probate. So probate can be a lengthy process. It's not as bad in Alabama, but it can be lengthy. It's about around 6 months in the state of Alabama. It can be expensive. And the big thing for a lot of our clients is that it's public. So when you go through the probate process, all of your sort of dirty laundry is aired out there. And so if you're looking for a little bit more privacy, I think a revocable trust is a good option.
So on those protections, though, again, your beneficiaries, after you pass, you want them to be able to get access to the assets you're leaving them when you pass, and that's not going to happen quickly if they have to go through probate court.
That's correct. And so with these trusts, when the assets flow into the trust, you're protecting the beneficiaries, and we talked about a little bit about this last week. You're protecting them from themselves. If they've got poor spending habits, they're not all that financially savvy. That's one thing. It actually protects them from creditors on the back end when these revocable trusts become irrevocable. And so there's a lot of advantages to using the revocable trust versus just giving them the money outright.
So again, if you have measurable assets, that's certainly something to consider. Check out an estate attorney to get more information. Thank you very much, Marshall Clay.
You're welcome.
All right.